Chapter 1690 Vizzy. Chapter 1690 Vizzy. The Purple Gold Rat clan was resplendent and magnificent. Since the Purple Gold Rat Emperor had reached the peak of his power and founded the clan, they liked to keep everything luxurious. Perhaps this was because they had once been used to living underground. Now, down in the golden earth, the Purple Gold Rat Emperor led a group of cultivators, preparing to set out for Celestial City in the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Although there had been some enmity between them before, they had formed an alliance in the God's Relic. Futian had destroyed the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Violet Heavenly Palace, but had not sent people to watch them. It seemed that they were not worth destroying. After thinking for a while, the Emperor decided to go and admit his guilt. He brought some of their treasures as well as the rat, who had once offended Futian in the mountains, to ask for forgiveness. The Purple Gold Rat Emperor was a figure capable of bending and stretching to accommodate. Moreover, today they were going to the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. If Futian would not forgive them, they could only fight to the death, trying to take Futian with them. "Let's go," said the Purple Gold Rat Emperor. Suddenly, beams of golden light shone out as they prepared to set out. Just at the moment they were about to leave, the Purple Gold Rat Emperor suddenly frowned. He felt that something was not right. Then his expression changed. Soon, several powerful demonic auras descended, as if they had come from a great distance. The Purple Gold Rat's expressions all changed. They looked up into the sky, where 4 cultivators appeared at the same time. 3 great demon masters were there, in addition to Jiangqingzi. At that moment, the Purple Gold Rat Emperor's heart froze. They were finished. This was the formation that had destroyed the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. What did that alliance mean? Futian had never planned to let the Purple Gold Rat Emperor go. The head of the Wang clan had died at the Emperor's hands. So if he let them go, how could he maintain relations with the Wang clan? The Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven would not let them go either. Moreover, Futian was very aware of what was happening in the Purple Gold Rat clan. They had discussed how to destroy him if there was a change in the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Boom! Without any words, the 4 great figures attacked. They had always hated the Purple Gold Rat Emperor. Several of the rats showed strong looks of regret in their eyes. Why had they provoked Futian? Of course, this was not the main reason why they were being destroyed. After the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Violet Heavenly Palace were destroyed, the Purple Gold Rats had disintegrated. The Purple Gold Rat Emperor and several of the top rats were killed, and the others were taken away by the 3 great demon clans. Each of the demon clans ruled over many races, so they did not completely exterminate the Purple Gold Rats. It was like leaving the net open on one side, but in the end the rats were enslaved. 3 of the great powers of the Heavenly Mandate realm had been destroyed, completely changing the balance of power within the Heavenly Mandate realm. But what was strange was the people of the Heavenly Mandate realm did not think that this change would weaken the realm very much. They even thought that the weakening would only last for a little bit. In the future, they would become even stronger. Perhaps this was because the Heavenly Mandate realm had never been very unified. And the youth whose name shook the 9 realms had said he would found an academy there where all the people of the world would be allowed to pursue their own path. They would not prevent others from becoming stronger. Moreover, all of the top figures of the realm seemed willing to believe that he could do it. And if that was the case, why wouldn't others believe it? The 10,036th year of the Divine Prefecture calendar would be one that was entered in the history books of the Heavenly Mandate realm. In Celestial City, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven began rebuilding. Countless people from the city came to help. Seeing the people of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven returning naturally made them very happy. As the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven began to take shape, the cultivators from Ingzhou Mountain arrived. They had been afraid for a time after the Purple Gold Rats had been destroyed, but no one had come to destroy them. Thus, they had been relieved, knowing that Futian was not planning to attack them. Futian did not have any hostility towards them, but the 3 great demon clans went there to seize their treasures. This hurt them deeply, but they did not dare complain. Afterward, they could only lower their heads and promise not to cause trouble. The demon realm of the heavenly mandate realm was destined to be controlled by the divine elephants, the dragon gods, and the sky demon court. From then on, the turmoil within the heavenly mandate realm was ended. Now it would be a different story. Yi Futian, Jiang Qingzi, Hua Jiangshan, Gu Donglu, and more were all at the celestial gate. They watched all the busy figures at the gate. Jiang Qingzi and Hua Jiangshan both had appreciative smiles on their faces. The celestial gate of vast heaven was finally recovering from their disaster. The threat from the heavenly mandate dynasty had been completely eliminated. Elder, when is the celestial gate planning on accepting new disciples? Yi Futian stood above the celestial gate, hair flying in the wind and looking off into the distance. Right now, the people of Celestial City are clamoring to train here. First, I want to send our renhuangs out through the various realms to bring back our people who scattered. Only then will we accept new disciples, said Jiang Qingzi. There were still many disciples of the celestial gate of vast heaven who were far away. Many of those who were below the renhuang level did not have the power to cross through realms. In realms like the 9 supreme realms, the renhuangs will have limited influence. It might be hard for them to find people, said Yi Futian. So the two of us are planning to go ourselves, said Jiang Qingzi with a smile. He and Hua Jiangshan would go as well. Yi Futian smiled and nodded. The two of them would obviously not abandon the disciples of the celestial gate. So what will happen here? Is Gu Donglu not here? Asked Jiang Qingzi with a smile. We have discussed this. In the future, the celestial gate of vast heaven will not have several clan lords. All of the clan's power will rest with the elders and one single clan lord. This will reduce the amount of intrigue. Yi Futian looked at Jiang Qingzi in surprise. It seemed that he had guessed something. Are you planning? Jiang Qingzi nodded and said, Donglu, I give you the position of clan lord of the celestial gate of vast heaven. A look of surprise came over Gu Donglu's face. He looked at Jiang Qingzi and Hua Jiangshan and said, I am not worthy. Both in terms of experience and level, he could not contribute enough to the celestial gate. In the past, your grandfather built the celestial gate of vast heaven with his own hands. If it weren't for him, we would never have experienced our period of prosperity. Although there were 3 great clans then, everyone in the heavenly mandate realm knew that your grandfather was the emblem of the celestial gate of vast heaven. In the end, he sacrificed the Gu bloodline for the celestial gate to protect it. At that time, we also did some things we did not wish to. Now, you have inherited everything from your grandfather. There is no question that we should give the celestial gate of vast heaven to you. You are worthy of it. In the past, the 3 great clans had come together, sacrificing the Gu clan, and even taking action against them. Although it had been many years ago, it still weighed upon them. Gu Tianqing had been the one to come up with it, but it still made them uneasy. Gu Donglu wanted to say something, but Hua Jiangshan smiled and said, For many years, I have been trapped at the 8th tier of the divine wheel. You have allowed me to put aside some things and find peace. Perhaps I will find a chance to advance to the next level. You young folks should worry about the affairs of the celestial gate. Now that the other 2 had said these things, there was nothing more that Gu Donglu could say. He was silent for a moment, then nodded and said, All right. He was the last member of the Gu bloodline. He would inherit his grandfather's will and lead the celestial gate forward. In that case, I can relax, said Jiang Qingzi with a smile. Given Gu Donglu's close relationship with Yi Futian, not to mention his incredible talent, the celestial gate of vast heaven would surely continue to advance. As for whether or not they would remain clan lords, that was not important. Futian, when are you planning to build the academy? Asked Jiang Qingzi. Once the celestial gate has stabilized, said Yi Futian. Before that, there is somewhere I need to go. Where? Asked Jiang Qingzi. Brahma's pure sky, answered Yi Futian. I will go with you, said Jiang Qingzi. Yi Futian did not refuse. At the moment, many people were watching him. Several days later, the celestial gate of vast heaven was finished rebuilding. There were celebrations throughout the city. Later, the 2 great clan lords Jiang Qingzi and Hua Jiangshan announced that from then on, there would only be one clan lord, Gu Donglu. This news shook the celestial city. On that day, Gu Donglu of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven appeared before the people of the world for the first time in his capacity as clan lord. He stood on the steps, a halo of divine light around him and marvelous illusions in the air. The great path descended from the heavens, shocking everyone. This was the first time they had seen someone with such a brilliant wheel of the great path. He was heroic and noble, and those who had any objections to him being named clan lord could not say anything. He would surely lead the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven into a new era of prosperity. On that day, almost all the forces of the heavenly mandate realm were there for the celebration. But the Empress of Brahma's pure sky was not there. Yi Futian watched everything quietly from the side, a little bit of regret in his heart. Third sister was not seeing this scene. The other disciple of the cottage was not there. The next day, Yi Futian and Jiang Qingzi left. Xia Qingyuan stood in the air high above the celestial gate, watching their retreating figures. All of the goddesses of Brahma's pure sky were there, standing in front of the Empress, bringing news. Gu Donglu had become the clan lord of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Everything that had happened in the heavenly mandate realm recently was like a dream. It did not seem real. The whole heavenly mandate realm had turned on its head. The Empress had a calm expression on her face. She asked the goddesses to leave, then sat there alone. She could not quiet her mind. At that moment, the hair on the back of her neck stood up. She looked off into the distance. She seemed to be able to sense something. Two figures appeared below Brahma's pure sky. "Greetings, Empress. It is I, Yi Futian," came a voice that rang through Brahma's pure sky. Everyone's hearts began to beat faster. There could be no other reason. These days, wherever Yi Futian went, if you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1691 The Hurt That Won't Be Forgotten. Chapter 1691 The Hurt That Won't Be Forgotten. This was not the first time Yi Futian had come to pay a visit, but he was refused before by the Lady of Brahma's pure sky. Would Yi Futian's visit be denied again this time? Yi Futian had not embarked on his journey alone to the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Violet Heavenly Palace. In Brahma's pure sky, all the goddesses looked at the sky beneath, and Yi Futian clearly felt all their divine spirits focusing on him. However, as he looked up, his eyes showed no disturbance. Jiang Qingzi stood quietly next to him. Yi Futian had no quarrels with Brahma's pure sky, and had no plan to do anything harmful there, so it was enough with just him by his side. In today's heavenly mandate realm, perhaps no one would dare not making some allowances for Yi Futian. The fact was, Yi Futian could influence all principalities other than Brahma's pure sky. However, for some reason, Brahma's pure sky seemed to intend on setting a boundary with Yi Futian. Last time, Yi Futian had also invited Qin He to the city of the ruins. However, the Lady of Brahma's pure sky did not permit it, and brought Qin He back with her. Jiang Qingzi was a little puzzled about all this, and he wasn't clear why Yi Futian wanted to visit Brahma's pure sky. However, he didn't probe. He assumed that Yi Futian must have his own reasons. At this time, there were goddesses coming down from the Brahma pure sky, and the one in the lead was an unparalleled beauty, with the most alluring temperament. It was the premier virgin of Brahma's pure sky, Qin He. Qin He alighted in front of Yi Futian. Her eyes were full of smiles, and she whispered softly, "Since we parted ways at the God's Relic, young Master Yi, you are now famous in the 9 realms." "Don't tease me, goddess," Yi Futian said smilingly. He was always on good terms with Qin He, but they were not here today to chat about old times. He asked, "Is Her Majesty ready to receive me?" "Well, Her Majesty asked me to come to greet young Master Yi." Qin He nodded slightly and said, "This way." Yi Futian took a deep breath. This time, did the Lady of Brahma's pure sky finally decide to receive him? Lifting his feet, Yi Futian stepped up, walking toward Brahma's pure sky. But his steps were somewhat heavy. Even when he was destroying the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and Violet Heavenly Palace, he had not felt this way. But at this moment, he was inexplicably somber and nervous. He was afraid that the result would not be what he wanted. His every step was heavy. He had always wanted to come to Brahma's pure sky to find out in person, but at this moment, he was walking rather slowly. Jiang Qingzi gave Yi Futian a surprised look. He was pondering the exact relationship between Yi Futian and the Lady of Brahma's pure sky. This was the first time he had seen Yi Futian behaved like this. Even when they were at City of the Ruins, surrounded and besieged by various principalities, he had never behaved like he was at this moment. What was making him so nervous? Stepping across the buildings and crossing over Heaven's Gate, they walked in the direction of Heavenly Palace. Finally, a staircase appeared in front of them that led directly to the peak of Brahma's pure sky. Her Majesty is waiting for young Master Yi up there, Qin he said to Yi Futian. She then stood aside, not intending to go along with him. Wait for me here, Yi Futian said to Jiang Qingzi. Very well, Jiang Qingzi nodded. Today in Heavenly Mandate Realm, no one would dare to make a move against Yi Futian. Yi Futian walked up along the staircase, and it was very high. With heavy steps, Yi Futian climbed, and finally, he could see what was above. Raising his head slightly, he continued up, and misty clouds now appeared under his feet. Finally, he climbed off the staircase and came to Brahma's pure sky. In just an instant, his body seemed to freeze, and he could no longer take another step. Time seemed to stand still at this second. In Brahma's pure sky, a woman stood there quietly, peaceful and beautiful, just like someone in a painting. Refreshing and one of a kind. She was not so unapproachable as the Lady of Brahma's pure sky to make one felt out of reach. Her beauty was of the world, but that which could satisfy all imaginations about beauty, so that even in the world, she was not any less inferior to those goddesses. But it was not her beauty that touched Yi Futian, but the fact that it was such a familiar face. Countless times, this face that had appeared in his dreams, imprinted in the depths of his memory, an unforgettable face. Scenes from the past replayed in his mind. Her name was Hua Jiyu, a talented girl in the Qingzhou Academy. In her time, she had been a goddess worshipped by those at the academy. At the end of that year, the girl took his hand while watching the boats sailing around Qingzhou Lake and the fireworks that spread from the sky. She asked him if they were in a relationship or not. The goddess of his youth, innocent and beautiful. From Qingzhou Academy, Nanda clan, Nanda nation, to Eastern Barren territory, they had gone through many storms together and finally come out together. However, all of this was destroyed in that battle. In the battle that took place at the Barren State, and under siege from all the Holy Lands, she laid in his arms and told him that in the future, he must find a better woman, because his empress ought to be someone who would make all others pale in the 9 heavens. She had also said not to be bossed around by that woman, however, because in this life, she was the only one who could order him around. Scene after scene emerged. It was as if a lifetime had passed in front of his eyes. An instant could be so interminably long. There were tears in Yi Futian's eyes, but they were not tears of sadness, but of joy. This outcome seemed better than he had expected. He was so afraid that he would found nothing on this trip to Brahma's pure sky. He walked up to her and reached out, wanting to caress her face again. However, before he could do that, someone appeared in front of Yi Futian, standing between the two. Noble and unapproachable, Lady of Brahma's pure sky. Because of Hua Jiyu, Yi Futian had ignored her presence, but she was always there. Yi Futian frowned and wanted to speak. She is not the person you are looking for. The Lady of Brahma's pure sky spoke first. No matter what you have done, I can look past them. I owe you a favor, Yi Futian said. Since Hua Jiyu was still alive, then it was the Lady of Brahma's pure sky who had saved her. He would not pursue the reason why she had concealed the truth. As long as Jiyu was alive, it was enough. Your wife is dead. The Lady of Brahma's pure sky stared into his eyes. Yi Futian's heart trembled, and his face suddenly paled as he looked at Hua Jiyu. You know this better than anyone else. Your wife died for you. What you see in front of you now was formed from what was left of her soul. Although I reshaped her physical body, she is no longer your wife. The Lady of Brahma's pure sky continued. Yi Futian remembered that battle, in which Hua Jiyu was left only with a trace of her soul, and it dissipated between heaven and earth. But seeing Jiyu standing in front of him with his own eyes, he couldn't believe it. Jiyu, he looked at her. Hua Jiyu returned his gaze, and Yi Futian saw that her eyes were as calm as stilled water. There seemed to be no disturbances in her eyes. It was as if he was indeed just a stranger. At this moment, Yi Futian's heart suddenly ached. Wasn't it? How could it not be? The woman who had appeared in his mind countless times was now standing right in front of his eyes. What did you do to her? Yi Futian stared at Lady of Brahma's pure sky, and his eyes suddenly became extremely cold. Those eyes, cold as steel, actually made the Lady of Brahma's pure sky felt a sense of chill. I already told you that she is not your wife. Now she is my direct disciple, and she will inherit my craft. In the future, she will inherit Brahma's pure sky, and become the next lady who rules Brahma's pure sky. She looked at Yi Futian indifferently. Your disciple? Yi Futian stared at the other. Even if she had really forgotten about everything, she is still my wife. Even if it was just a remnant of her soul, it won't change anything. She's leaving with me. The lady looked at him and said coldly, if she's willing, I will not stop her. Yi Futian walked past her and stood in front of Hua Jiyu. He looked at her and stretched out his hands. However, seeing Hua Jiyu's eyes, he hesitated. So he put his hand down again and whispered, Jiyu, it's me. Hua Jiyu turned around and walked away, then just sat there. Yi Futian's heart seemed to be struck by a sword. It was so painful that he felt like his heart was broken. Qingzhou Lake was where we fell in love. Don't you remember? Yi Futian looked at her and asked. Book Mountain, on our wedding day, the Eastern Barren Territory came to congratulate us. Jiyu, don't you remember? Yi Futian continued. Yi Futian's voice was trembling. Everything that had happened, you should know better than anyone else. So why bother deceiving yourself? Lady of Brahma's pure sky turned to look at Yi Futian, saying, your wife already perished in that battle. I want to take her away from here, Yi Futian insisted. You have vanquished the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, the Violet Heavenly Palace, and the Purple Gold Rat Clan. So if you really want to do this, I can't stop you. If you want to forcefully take her away against her will and disregard her feelings, then do what you will, the Lady of Brahma's pure sky said calmly. Yi Futian felt a pain prick at his heart. He walked to Hua Jiyu and said with a smile, you little devil, did you really forget me? With her eyes closed, Hua Jiyu simply sat there quietly. Watching her, Yi Futian suddenly felt weak all over. Even though he was Ren Huang, it was as if he had exhausted all his strength. Then, I will come see you another day. Yi Futian displayed a bright smile, but it seemed somewhat forced. On the bright side, at least she was still alive, right? Yi Futian looked at Lady of Brahma's pure sky and said, I may come from time to time in the future. I beg your forgiveness in advance. Lady of Brahma's pure sky frowned, seemingly displeased. Yi Futian ignored her reaction and turned to walk down the stairs. He went all the way down and didn't seem to hear Qin he even when she greeted him. He left with Jiang Qingzi. After his departure, Brahma's pure sky remained quiet. The Lady of Brahma's pure sky looked at Hua Jiyu, who was sitting there. 2 trails of tears had streaked from her tightly closed eyes. When those beautiful eyes opened again, they were full of tears. When did his hair turn all white? A heartbreaking voice spoke. It seemed to contain endless sorrow and pain. It must have been hard for him to bear. The desperation must have been overwhelming. Would she forget about him? How could she forget? Even if she had forgotten who she was, or the whole world, she would never forget him. Forget, and you don't have to endure this kind of pain, a voice said. It was the Lady of Brahma's pure sky who spoke to her. Hua Jiyu raised her head to look at the Lady of Brahma's pure sky, and suddenly she smiled and replied, It is because it hurts that I won't forget. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1692 IMU if you win. Chapter 1692 IMU. If you win, the Lady of Brahma's pure sky looked at her. It was because it hurt that wouldn't forget? That's your past life, not this life. Why endure the pain of your past life in this life? The lady asked. Since I remembered, then there must be just the one life. Hua Jiyu looked at her and responded. Lady of Brahma's pure sky looked on coldly. and an invisible breath bloomed from her, covering the space. Terrible light was released from Hua Jiyu's body. Hua Jiyu's body trembled suddenly. It was as if she was enduring extreme pain. Her face was distorted, and from her body, shadow after shadow was stripping out, and there seemed to be thousands of them being peeled away. All of them appeared around her. These shadows did not look like Hua Jiyu, but were that of the Lady of Brahma's pure sky. Hua Jiyu's figure became elusive, no longer appeared real. Like a vague shadow, it could dissipate at any time. Finally, there seemed to be a light that switched on. And in this light, many paintings could be vaguely made out, and all those paintings were of the same person. If Yi Futian were there, he would find that every one of these paintings was a depiction of their shared memories, which had also appeared in his mind not long ago. Do you want the past life or this life? Many voices spoke as the many shadows that were surrounding her asked her at the same time. At this moment, that elusive figure seemed so fragile and precarious. It was as if it might disappear at any moment. You should know that even if he had destroyed the Heavenly Mandate dynasty and the Violet Heavenly Palace, he could do nothing to me. That elusive figure suddenly laughed and said, "Then your 100 generations worth of cultivation will disappear with me." The Lady of Brahma's pure sky fell silent. They both knew that this was the truth. Back then, when she rescued Hua Jiyu, the Lady of Brahma's pure sky felt the opportunity of enlightenment in her. So she had chosen a woman from the lower worlds to be the perfect embodiment of herself. However, it seemed that it might not have been so perfect after all. Her previous life had too strong of a hold on her. It was too strong to be erased. Since it's a no-win situation, let's make a bet. Finally, the Lady of Brahma's pure sky turned around and said, "Put out the lamp. I will let you go with him to cultivate. If I win, you are me. If you win, then I will be you." Hua Jiyu looked at her and asked, "How could I trust you?" "If you agree, I will cut off my own recourse," said the Lady of Brahma's pure sky. "Very well." Hua Jiyu nodded. The Lady of Brahma's pure sky turned around and saw those elusive figures merged into Hua Jiyu's body, while the lady herself stepped into the sacred hall in the heavenly palace. She closed her eyes, and an extremely powerful aura rushed directly into Hua Jiyu. At the same time, there was a voice resounding through Brahma's pure sky. "Starting today, I will be cultivating in retreat. From now on, everyone in Brahma's pure sky will need to assist Hua Jiyu. After I go into the retreat, if the Heavenly Mandate Academy is established, Jyotian Goddess will escort her there to cultivate." As the voice fell, the sacred hall suddenly lit up. Hua Jiyu looked ahead, then turned around and walked toward the staircase, looking down at the sky below. There were tears dripping down from the corner of her eyes, but a steely determination could be seen in those eyes. "If I forget about you, you would forgive me, right?" she said in a heartbreaking voice. She suddenly smiled and continued, "At least, I will be by your side again." Leaving was for a more perfect return. Brahma's pure sky was shaken up, but no one knew just what kind of agreement they had made, or exactly what was at stake. Yi Futian returned to the celestial gate of vast heaven. Now, the celestial gate of vast heaven had been re-established in the celestial city with Gu Donglu as the master of the celestial gate. Next, it should be the establishment of the academy. The celestial gate of vast heaven had already dispatched its cultivators to the location where the Heavenly Mandate dynasty once resided. They would work together to build the academy at Heavenly Mandate realm. Now all the top forces in the Heavenly Mandate realm were getting busy. This was the first time that all of them were working hard toward the same goal simultaneously. Xiaqing Yuan had also been working hard at cultivation. After receiving the lotus flower in God's relic, she made rapid progress, transforming her life spirit and merging one with the divine lotus. She had already experienced a transformation. On this day, she finished cultivating and walked toward the person in front of her. The man stood quietly on the edge of the palace, looking into the distance. He appeared quite lonesome. She walked next to him and asked softly, "Did you find what you were looking for?" "Yeah," Yi Futian said with a smile, "I did." In any case, she was still around, right? Although the outcome was not exactly what he had hoped for, it was not bad either. That was why he told the Lady of Brahma's pure sky that he would be visiting again. Xia Qingyuan's beautiful eyes were slightly turbulent, but then she smiled a brilliant smile and said, "After so many years of hard work, you have finally accomplished your wish. Why didn't you take her back with you?" "She refused to come back with me," Yi Futian said. Xia Qingyuan looked surprised. "But why? She had suffered such a grievous injury back then. Maybe that's why she forgot everything. But as long as she is still alive, it's enough, isn't it?" Yi Futian didn't know whether he was talking to Xia Qingyuan or to himself. He once thought that she had disappeared completely from his life, and it was Xia Qingyuan's intel that gave him a glimmer of hope. But he also knew very well that he had been tricking himself all these years with this desperate and elusive wish, until he saw her in those elusive dreams. Now that he had seen that she was still alive, despite being a little disappointed, it was better than he had expected. Xia Qingyuan was taken aback at first, but then she understood what Yi Futian meant. Had she really forgotten everything? "She will remember it," Xia Qingyuan said. "And you won't give up either, will you?" Yi Futian nodded. He turned around and looked at Xia Qingyuan with a smile. "Thank you." Over the years, he had never thanked Xia Qingyuan properly. If it weren't for Xia Qingyuan, he wouldn't have even started looking, and he wouldn't have this little bit of hope. Xia Qingyuan looked into his eyes, then smiled brightly and said, "Not at all. You helped me a lot too." She continued, "I have to cultivate now, and maybe it won't be long before I can become a renhuang, just like my father." After Xia Qingyuan finished speaking, she turned to leave. Yi Futian looked at her and saw her footsteps speed up. It was as if she was running away. With her back to Yi Futian, tears flowed freely from those beautiful eyes that had smiled so brilliantly. Just thank you? This wasn't what she wanted. However, it was still a very happy ending. After all, he finally found the one he loved, hadn't he? Perhaps this was the best outcome. When she entered the realm of Renhuang, she would return to Emperor Xia's realm and become empress, so that her father could rest. Well, that would also be perfect. The center of the Heavenly Mandate realm was once the territory of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, and it had been extremely unstable during this period of time. First, it was the destruction of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty that, like a thunderbolt, shocked the hearts of countless many. It could not be assuaged for a long time. As the symbol of the Heavenly Mandate realm, the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had stood for countless years. Its destruction was like a dream, but now, after the destruction of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, its ruins had been cleared up. An academy was rising from the ground, and the area covered by this academy would be even greater than the former imperial palace. Many went to watch the buildings grew out of thin air inside the academy, which had elicited all kinds of emotions. After the destruction of a dynasty, would there be another stronger force replacing it? Numerous cultivators in the Heavenly Mandate realm had come here, especially many young people. They dreamt of entering this academy with their minds set on seeking the way. They all knew that this academy would be the future of the Heavenly Mandate realm, its strongest holy land for cultivation. At this time, outside the academy that was still under construction, there were many excellent figures that gathered there. Among them, there were two young people. It was a man and a woman. The man was unparalleled in his temperament, and the woman was unparalleled in her looks. When they walked together, they looked like a perfect match, a golden couple. "I didn't expect this," the young man said with a smile. "It has only been a few years since we came to the Heavenly Mandate realm together, and now his name rings through the entire realm. It is said that he is renowned even in 9 supreme realms. The history of the Heavenly Mandate realm was also rewritten because of him." "It's surreal, all right," the woman said with a small smile. "I wonder how the others are doing with their cultivation. In any case, I am afraid that no one can overshadow his fame," the young man laughed. "Fortunately, we had no conflict with him back in the days. Otherwise, even my father would not be able to hold him back." These two were indeed Yi Futian's friends from Crimson Dragon Realm. Qishang, the son of the Crimson Dragon Emperor, and his wife Yu Shifei. After the two married in Crimson Dragon Realm, they came to the Heavenly Mandate Realm together. "How could you, given your character?" Yu Shifei smiled. "Shifei, Do you think there would be a shortcut for us if we wanted to go to the academy to cultivate? We are not that lousy, are we? Yusufei said in a low voice. They were the most outstanding cultivators in the Crimson Dragon realm. They should be qualified to cultivate in the Academy of the Heavenly Mandate realm. That's right. We all came here together. A shortcut would be incredibly shameful. Qisheng laughed. Moreover, he was the prince of the Crimson Dragon realm, who came to the Heavenly Mandate realm with Yi Futian. If he had to rely on his relationships to get in the academy that Yi Futian established, it would be too dishonorable. Aside from them, many people who knew Yi Futian had come here as well. For example, Emperor Qi that Yi Futian had met when he first arrived at the Heavenly Mandate realm, as well as people from the Yun clan, like Yun Qianyue, who had always wanted to be his student. It was not until he was forced to save Yun Qianyue that he finally agreed. Yun Qianyue knew that this was not what her teacher wanted, but she just wanted to see him from a distance and watch. The academy was starting to form with the joint efforts of all principalities. It would not be long before it was completed. By then, who knew what could be achieved? On the opening day of the academy, would all the top figures in the Heavenly Mandate realm make an appearance? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1693 The Cottage. Chapter 1693 The Cottage. These days at the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, there were powerful cultivators of Renhuang realm, who departed successively, heading toward different places, some even to different realms. The academy that was built on the ruins of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty gradually took shape over time, magnificent and impressive. However, it lacked the depth of history and charms from the past. After all, this was a brand new institution, and it would wait for someone to write it into history. Many cultivators had gathered at the center of Heavenly Mandate realm, and the entire Heavenly Mandate realm was in an uproar. Everyone wanted to be there to witness this great occasion. Not just the Heavenly Mandate realm, but other forces of the 9 supreme imperial realms had received the news and sent their people into the Heavenly Mandate realm right away. After he came out of the God's Relic, Yi Futian became famous in the 9 realms. His name was known by all. Now he had set off another wave in Heavenly Mandate realm, and it would not go unnoticed in the 9 realms. Although the turmoil of the past had faded away, there were still many who had Yi Futian in their minds. Even though he exerted great influence now in the Heavenly Mandate realm, there were some principalities who didn't. It was still Empty Imperial Palace that gave these principalities pause. Empty Imperial Palace was the first to come forward and offered him protection. Thus, no one wanted to be the first to make a move on Yi Futian, not even the Golden Divine Nation, who harbored deep animosity toward him. As it turned out, they would only send men to lay in wait at the Heavenly Mandate dynasty for an opportunity. If Yi Futian took the initiative to invade, because they had defied Empty Imperial Palace's order, and attacked him first, then the consequence would be very different. However, when the Heavenly Mandate realm was steeped in turmoil, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven was quiet by contrast. But surprisingly to some, as time passed, Yi Futian remained unstirred, and did not let on when the academy would be finished, so it kept many in suspense. However, time was measured differently for those who cultivate. Several months could go by in just a blink of the eye for them, but the center of the Heavenly Mandate realm became quite lively. As more and more cultivators arrived, including those who were from other parts of the 9 realms, it was inevitable that some altercations and disagreements would occur. No one knew what Yi Futian was waiting for. But Yi Futian was waiting for someone. The group was not yet complete. At the very least, the opening of the Heavenly Mandate Academy should be witnessed by the disciples who used to belong to the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. There were also a few others that he would like to see, hoping to be there together. These days, disciples from the Heavenly Mandate realm had been picked up one after another, and Yi Futian had even welcomed a group of special guests from the Crimson Dragon realm. It turned out that after the older senior brother, Sword Saint, was teleported, he did not return to the Heavenly Mandate realm, but went to the Crimson Dragon realm, which was closer, and returned to Qinya City. Therefore Yi Futian, who had not planned on receiving those from the Crimson Dragon realm, met in advance a group of people whom he had wanted to see but not yet seen. In Yi Futian's calculation, the time was not yet ripe. His power may be strong enough in the Heavenly Mandate realm, but there were still great potential risks. Therefore, he had planned to wait a while longer. But as soon as Run Huang from the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had found his older senior brother, the Sword Saint, there was no way they could be stopped. As a result, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven became even sportier. Many had arrived, and they all wanted to see it with their own eyes. "Little brother, what are you thinking?" A clear voice was heard asking. Yi Futian turned and saw two people walking toward him. The man was peerlessly handsome, and the woman had an unbridled beauty. It was none other than Zhuge Mingyue. "My brother, you must miss me." A head popped out, and the beautiful Long Linger came to Yi Futian's side and sat next to him. They hadn't seen each other for years, but it was as if they had never been apart. "Don't be naughty," Yi Futian said smilingly. This little girl seemed to never grow up. "Second senior sister," Yi Futian called out and stood up. Zhuge Mingyue walked up to him and stretched out her hand. Then she stood on her tiptoe and patted Yi Futian's head. Yi Futian looked quite indignant. As Run Huang, he didn't expect such treatment. "You don't seem to be any different now that you are Run Huang," Zhuge Mingyue said with a light smile. "But you seem to be a little better looking." Yi Futian looked resigned to his fate. It seemed that his senior sister just wanted to experience the feeling of patting a Run Huang on the head. What could he do? "Would you allow me some dignity?" Yi Futian saw many around him were looking at them, and felt that his image was completely destroyed. "Yes, after all, you are now the legendary Run Huang they all talked about." Zhuge Mingyue nodded in agreement. Back in the days in the Eastern Barren Territory, those in the Sage Realm were legends in their own right. They have never even heard of Run Huang. And now, their little brother was a Run Huang himself. "But third senior brother is a Run Huang too," Yi Futian smiled weakly. "How about not bullying the wrong person?" "True, but he doesn't much feel like one at all." Zhuge Mingyue glanced at Gu Donglu with a smile, who was right next to her. And Gu Donglu always had a gentle smile on his face. "When you bring Jieyu here, then the group would be complete," Zhuge Mingyue said again. Yi Futian's eyes darkened, and he could say nothing. "Don't think so much about it. It is enough that Jieyu is still alive. No matter what had happened to her, she's still there, so what does it matter? Even if she had forgotten some things, you could always start over again." Zhuge Mingyue already knew what happened, because Yi Futian had told them. In that battle, countless people in the Holy Ji Palace watched Hua Jiyu's demise, as the wife of the palace lord of the Holy Ji Palace, die on the battlefield. Even if the battle was won, that victory had come with an extremely heavy price tag. After that, Yi Futian departed to Qingzhou City. That was when all his hair turned white. When Zhuge Mingyue learned that Yi Futian had seen Hua Jieyu, she was very happy for him, because she had lost all hope. In fact, anyone who had witnessed what happened with their own eyes, except Yi Futian himself, would have lost hope. Yi Futian, because he cared too much, he almost wanted to deceive himself of what really happened. Yes, Yi Futian nodded. She was right. Worst come to worst, they would just have to start over again. He did not completely trust the Lady of Brahma's pure sky, but even at the very least, Jieyu was still alive. "Futian." At this time, a man walked toward him, and it was the sword master of Lihan, who was followed by another man, Wang Chuan. Previously, Wang Chuan had been cultivating in the Crimson Dragon realm, and happened to meet the Run Huang from the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. So he came along with them. His master, the Sword Master of Lihan, had already become the Sword Emperor. "Sword Master," Yi Futian called out. The Celestial Gate had gone to all realms, and rounded up more than half of all their disciples. They wanted to know, when do you plan to depart? Sword Master of Lihan asked. "Then let's go," said Yi Futian. It was unrealistic for Celestial Gate to round up all of their disciples all at once. Now that several months had gone by, everyone was waiting. It was no longer appropriate to continue the delay. "Good, let me tell them," the Sword Master acknowledged. Not long ago, The mighty cultivators of celestial gate of vast heaven gathered together there. Now that the heavenly mandate realm was for all practical purposes under Yi Futian's command, even if there was no one left at celestial gate of vast heaven, there was no fear that it would be attacked. This time, everyone at celestial gate of vast heaven was prepared to attend the ceremony to show their support. Depart. In an instant, a mighty force of cultivator embarked, heading toward the sky. Yi Futian and the others descended in the center of the heavenly mandate realm, where the newly constructed academy was located. Right on their heels, the cultivators from the demonic clans, as well as those from 10,000 Divine Mountain, also appeared, preparing to discuss matters regarding the establishment of the academy. The cultivators of the 9 realms had received the news, and soon, many cultivators of the top principalities in the 9 realms left to go to the heavenly mandate realm. Among them, there were those who were highly respected, but also just simple folks from various clans. At the same time, Taishan Mountain and Tianhe realm had also departed for the heavenly mandate realm. The Dragon Master, the Golden Raven Demonic Lord, the Divine Elephant Emperor, and the Lord of the 10,000 Divine Mountain seemed to have all arrived. Outside the newly completed academy, many people made the observation. They saw that these top figures of all sides had appeared after Yi Futian's arrival. Indeed, Yi Futian was the real center of all the attention. At this time, all the top figures were inside the academy. Have you decided on the name of the academy? Asked the Divine Elephant Emperor. Well, it's simply called Heavenly Mandate Academy, the place of preaching the way, Yi Futian said. However, the academy will be divided into ordinary disciples and core disciples. The conditions are more relaxed for ordinary disciples, while core disciples will be put under careful scrutiny. At the same time, they will need to meet certain criteria, because these core disciples will be the elites of Heavenly Mandate Academy. Everyone agreed. Tianshan Academy and the Shangxiao Divine Palace were not too different in their operations. The places of preaching were always more or less the same. In addition, among the core disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, we will select the most genius talents, and they will become the real backbone of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Even more, they would be the soul of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Everyone looked somber and said, if so, the criteria must be higher in comparison. Of course. Yi Futian nodded. The door could only be entered by those who possessed the perfect divine wheel. Although they had already anticipated it, it was still a surprise when they heard Yi Futian's pronouncement. Only those who possessed the perfect divine will would be allowed in. Exactly what kind of disciples did they intend on creating? I have already thought of a name for this central power inside the academy. Heavenly Mandate Academy, the cottage. Yi Futian continued. It will not be announced to the public, only we would know who are the disciples of the cottage. Previously, he had already discussed with the 3rd senior brother that he liked the name Heavenly Mandate Cottage, but it was rejected by his 2nd senior sister, Zhuge Mingyue. She thought it was inappropriate. The cottage was not simply just a name, it had special meaning, and not just anyone could be qualified as a disciple of the cottage. Therefore, Yi Futian changed his mind and gave up the idea of naming the academy as Heavenly Mandate Cottage. Instead, he would name it the Heavenly Mandate Academy and set up the cottage as a part of it. And only those who possessed the perfect divine wheel could have a chance to be admitted into the cottage. This also meant that Yi Futian was almost certainly would be the one to control the process personally, without announcing it to the public. If so, how awesome would the future disciples of the cottage be? Very well. Everyone nodded, and there was no disagreement. So the weighty news was officially released to the public. The name of the academy was to be the Heavenly Mandate Academy. After 7 days, the Heavenly Mandate Academy would be officially open its door in the Heavenly Mandate realm and invite everyone to come. And everyone was invited to come and observe the opening ceremony. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1694 Precaution. Chapter 1694 Precaution. The first batch of disciples had already been internally decided when Yi Futian and the rest of his group decided to set up an independent cottage within Tianshan Academy. Yi Futian did not take on the role of dean in the new cottage. Instead, he naturally became the cottage manager of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The first batch of candidates for the cottage consisted of Yi Futian, Yu Sheng, Yaya, the swordmaster of Lihan, Long Chun Jun Gao Huang, etc. Gu Donglu was already the master of the celestial gate of vast heaven, and thus would not be training in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. However, this was unimportant. They were the first disciples of the cottage. Judging from this, the Heavenly Mandate Academy was merely a splinter of the cottage. Several days after the news was released, the first batch of powerful fighters from the Dou clan arrived early. They brought along Dou Zhao from the Dou clan. Ever since Dou Zhao forged his perfect divine wheel, he listened to Yi Futian's instructions and returned to his clan. He trained in solitude for a period to stabilize his level and cultivated his will of the fighting god to an even higher level. "Senior, I'm here," Dou Zhao said with a smile as he quickly walked forward when he saw Yi Futian. Yi Futian had told him to call him his senior. Otherwise, he might have called him brother or teacher. "You sure are early," Yi Futian said with a smile. "Of course. After all, I am also a member of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. How could I be left out of the Academy's creation? That's why I came early," Dou Zhao said naturally. He did not see himself as an outsider, and instead saw himself as a member of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. However, Yi Futian did not mind that. How could he refuse the successor of the Dou clan from coming to the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train? Furthermore, Yi Futian had also thought to leave a spot in the cottage for him in the past. Several people walked over. Some of them recognized Dou Zhao, while many others did not. "Oh right, I can now consistently activate the sevenfold will of the fighting god, and have faintly touched on the 8th level. I've been rather lonely in the family. Do you want to spar, senior?" Dou Zhao was a little feisty. No one of the same generation as him in the family could satisfy him anymore after he forged the perfect divine wheel and could consistently activate the sevenfold will of the fighting god. He triumphed over any low-level Runhuang with absolute certainty. He could not help but have this thought. Being invincible was too lonely. "I'll find someone to spar with you," Yi Futian said with a smile. "Yu Sheng." Yu Sheng stepped forward from behind Yi Futian. His muscular body was laced with an unbelievably wild pressure. An aura at the level of a demonic emperor radiated toward Dou Zhao. "Forget it, we are all brothers. Let's not disturb the peace," Dou Zhao said naturally. He decided not to fight. When did this guy become a Runhuang? Judging from his aura, he should also have a perfect divine wheel. Wouldn't that mean that my level was the same as his? What kind of battle would it be? I won't have the advantage in terms of strength. "That's fine too," Yi Futian nodded. "We'll all be brothers after the academy is set up. To prevent loneliness, you can talk about cultivation with Yu Sheng frequently in the future. I'll set up an independent sealed platform. You won't be able to leave until you are defeated. Senior, the members of my family are here. Give me some face," Dou Zhao told Yi Futian through telepathy. He then continued, "We should focus on training after the academy is set up, and give our juniors some pointers from time to time. Yu Sheng is around the same level as me. We do not need to discuss our cultivation." Cough cough. Dou Zhao coughed as he said his piece. He was the descendant of the fighting god, and was now seen as the war god in the Dou clan. Yi Futian should give him some face. Yi Futian smiled. He looked toward the people behind Dou Zhao and said, "Your journey here must have been hard, please." "You're too polite, Emperor Yi." The group nodded. They felt rather uneasy. The people from the outside world did not understand, but the powerful fighters of the Dou clan were clear that Yi Futian had something to do with Dou Zhao forging his perfect divine wheel. When they heard Yi Futian's words, they sensed that Yu Sheng, who was standing behind Yi Futian, had also forged a perfect divine wheel. In their minds, there was now one more wielder of a perfect divine wheel. The potential of this new academy was terrifying. As time drew closer, another terrifying aura descended from the sky above the Heavenly Mandate Academy. A group of figures flew down. Many people within the Heavenly Mandate Academy looked up to see that the two people in front of the group were elders with an exceptional demeanor. Lord Teacher. The people saw a figure step onto the sky to actively welcome the two figures. The people naturally knew who the white-haired figure was. Behind him, several influential figures also took to the skies. The two figures were clearly very respected. Lord Taixian of the Taixian Mountain in the higher heavens realm. The other person should be the Sky River Great Elder. Many people knew about the happenings in the 9th Supreme Imperial Realm. They had heard many things about Lord Taixian. It was rumored that he had already broken through the bottleneck and reached the level Gu Tianqing was at back in those years. And the two figures nodded. The group walked toward the academy. The black-winged condor dived down from the sky and arrived at Yi Futian's side. At the same time, a beautiful figure dressed in a fiery red long dress also came to Yi Futian's side. It was Little Phoenix from Taixian Mountain. Why is Lord Taixian and the Sky River Great Elder here? Countless people in the Heavenly Mandate City engaged in a discussion. The Sky River Great Elder was Yi Futian's teacher. Could he also be here to enter the academy? Just how many influential figures would there be in the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Just who would be the first dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Futian, I've already heard about your thoughts from your teacher. Your teacher is also willing to take up the position as the dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Since that is the case, I shall take on the role of guest minister, Lord Taixian said with a smile. Yi Futian was making a contribution to the world of cultivation by setting up the Heavenly Mandate Academy to spread his teachings. Furthermore, aside from his relationship with the Sky River Great Elder, Lord Taixian saw the Sky River Great Elder's disciple very highly. Thank you, Lord. Yi Futian then said with a smile. If that is the case, the first guest minister of the Heavenly Mandate Academy is decided. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was set up in collaboration with several factions of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Naturally, there would not be only one guest minister. The heads of the various factions would not take up any specific roles in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Thus, they would all be guest ministers of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. They would also send powerful fighters from their factions to take up specific roles in the academy. Yi Futian had promised in the past that he did not set up the Heavenly Mandate Academy to rule over the Heavenly Mandate realm. This was not only his academy alone. However, everyone knew that Yi Futian would be a pivotal figure in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Do Zhao, since you are entering the academy to train, has any of the seniors in the Do clan considered becoming a guest minister of the academy? Of course, they can also take up the position of elder, Yi Futian said as he looked at Do Zhao. A guest minister was a title, while an elder was a specific role. I'll discuss it with my family. There should be no problems, Do Zhao said. Thanks for your effort, Junior, Yi Futian said with a smile. Several powerful fighters looked toward Yi Futian. Did this person want to pull in influential factions from all over the realm? However, most of the people understood his intentions. He wanted the Heavenly Mandate Academy to be stable. After all, many people had their sights on him. Another person descended from the sky. Several people looked up in the air. They saw that an enchanting figure had appeared in the sky. They were all charmed. The Jyotian goddess of Brahma's pure sky has arrived, someone said. Who's the person in the middle? Several people let out looks of shock. No one had seen the enchanting lady in the middle. Even the Jyotian goddess was standing beside her. Furthermore, Qin was standing behind her. Many people were suspicious. Could she be the true successor of Brahma's pure sky? Yi Futian looked up. His gaze froze in that spot when he saw the figure. He was not the only one. The Sword Saint, Zhuge Mingyue, and Gu Donglu also could not shift their gazes away from that figure. The battle in the barren state was still fresh in their minds. They were all alive, but the female master of the ultimate holy palace had died in the battle. Now, she had once again appeared before their eyes. Sister Jeyu, Long Linger murmured to herself in a daze. Under the orders of the Empress, her personal disciple, Hua Jiyu, will enter the academy to train. A goddess in the air announced with a loud voice. Yi Futian's gaze did not leave Hua Jiyu's body. He deliberated for a moment then said, Please. He had just said this when the figures of the group from Brahma's pure sky descended into the academy. Futian turned to look at them. He saw the ladies from Brahma's pure sky bow toward the influential figures. "Greetings to you, elders." Several people felt that was something strange going on. Futian's emotion was off. They saw a figure walk forward. It was Zhuge Mingyue. She appeared in front of the people from Brahma's pure sky. Her gaze landed on Hua Jiyu's body. She had a warm and radiant smile. This was the lady that her junior loved the most. She had seen her junior grow up with Hua Jiyu. How could Zhuge Mingyue not be happy now that she had seen her again? "Jiyu, do you not recognize me?" Zhuge Mingyue's tone was gentle. However, Hua Jiyu only glanced coldly at her. There was no emotion in her eyes. Her gaze was bleak. "Second senior," Futian shouted. Zhuge Mingyue turned to look at him. At this moment, she finally understood what Futian was feeling. "Jiyu, can I chat with you in the future?" Zhuge Mingyue asked Hua Jiyu. "You've got the wrong person." Hua Jiyu turned around and walked to the side. Zhuge Mingyue looked at her figure. She stood there silently for a long time. It was not only her. Everyone who was once from the Holy Palace took a few steps forward. "Brother." Long Linger grabbed onto Futian's arm. She was worried about him. "I'm all right," Futian said. Just what did the Empress of Brahma's pure sky mean by this? She knew that Hua Jiyu had died. Why did she still use her name? "Futian." Lord Taishian asked Futian. "My wife." Futian collected himself and gave the Lord a simple explanation. The influential figures of the heavenly mandate realm felt their hearts shake. "Futian," the Dragon Master said to Futian. "I heard that the technique practiced by the one in Brahma's pure sky is extremely unique. This might not be a simple case of memory loss. The technique cultivated by the Empress of the Brahma's pure sky is a secret to this day," the Master of the 10,000 Divine Mountain said. "You have to be wary of a possibility. She might be using your wife for her cultivation." Futian's pupils dilated. He involuntarily released a cold aura. "What do you mean by that, elder?" Chapter 1695 Creation of the Academy. Chapter 1695 Creation of the Academy. Futian knew that Jiyu had secretly cultivated a technique. She should have obtained the technique when she was training outside with Xia Qingyuan the other time. It was because she cultivated the technique that she caught the attention of the Empress during the battle at the Holy Palace. It might also be the reason that she could still exist in this world. Otherwise, the last vestiges of her soul would have long scattered into the universe. If he thought about it that way, what the influential figures told him was probably true. That technique was the only reason Jiyu managed to stay alive, but her life was no longer her own. Also, there was one more incident that could prove the theory. In Brahma's pure sky, other than the Empress, there was also the Jyotian goddess and the great virgin Qin He. However, why would Jiyu become the personal disciple of the Empress and the core figure in Brahma's pure sky? Why would the Empress pay so much attention to her? However, if that was the case, wasn't the Empress worried that he would find out about the truth if she sent Jiyu to train by his side? Or in other words, the other party did not mind that at all. Futian looked in the direction Jiyu was. He knew that the Empress of Brahma's pure sky had won. What could he do about the situation, even if he knew about it? Attack Jiyu? Alternatively, he could go to Brahma's pure sky and attack the Empress. However, he did not know if Jiyu would disappear entirely if he did that. At this moment, Futian's heart was in a mess. "It's wrong." A thought flashed past Futian's brain. He remembered something. In the past, he had sensed Jiyu's existence twice. Did that mean that even though Jiyu was being controlled by the Empress of Brahma's pure sky, she had not fully lost her sense of self? There might be a shred of consciousness hiding within her. That was why he could sense Jiyu's existence. A ray of hope shone in his heart when he thought about this. No one in the surroundings disturbed Futian. This incident shocked all of the powerful fighters. Futian's wife was being controlled by the Empress of Brahma's pure sky. "Goddess Qin, you can also train together with her in the academy." Futian suddenly looked toward the group from Brahma's pure sky and said, "Qin." He turned around and looked at Futian with her beautiful eyes. She was a little hesitant. She had wanted to train with Yi Futian in the past, but the Empress did not let her. You can stay too, a goddess by Qin He's side told her. All right. Qin He nodded with a smile. She felt extremely conflicted. The disciple that the Empress had accepted was Yi Futian's wife. It was no wonder Yi Futian had asked about her in the past. As it turned out, everything was true. Yi Futian immediately averted his gaze when he saw Qin He nod. There were many powerful fighters here to congratulate him today. As the host of the occasion, now was not the time to discuss private matters. Both Lord Taixian and the Dou clan had come here out of respect for him. All he could do about Jieyu was to slowly consider the circumstances. Since the Empress of Brahma's pure sky had sent her here to train, he had time in the future to investigate the matter. Seniors, Yi Futian said. He led the powerful fighters toward the area where the banquet would be held. In reality, it was not only the Dou clan and Taixian Mountain who had arrived in the Heavenly Mandate City today. Many powerful fighters from top-notch factions of the other realms had also arrived and were mixed within the crowd. The large ripple that happened in the Heavenly Mandate realm after Yi Futian left Xintian Academy had spread to the other realms. Currently, the Heavenly Mandate realm was almost unified. Even though the main aim of the Heavenly Mandate Academy was to spread teachings, all of the factions in the Heavenly Mandate realm were now standing on the same side with the help of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. They have become a superpower. Now, other than the fact that Yi Futian's cultivation level was still rather low, he already had the strength to fight against any of the top-notch factions. The soon-to-be-formed Heavenly Mandate Academy only lacked people who stood at the very top of the world. Thus, Yi Futian had invited Lord Taixian. Finally, the day that the Heavenly Mandate Academy would be set up had come. Heavenly Mandate City was filled with cultivators from all over the realm, especially those who had come from the areas around the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The city was packed. One would not be able to find an empty spot on the streets from the sky. Every area was filled with humans. A majestic affair like this was unprecedented in the Heavenly Mandate realm. At the very least, nothing of this scale had happened in the last 100 years. Sunlight fell onto the area that was once the imperial city of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. It created a grand sight. The surroundings also had an ancient aura and the vicissitudes of history. Of course, the Heavenly Mandate City was no longer the imperial city of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. It would become the outer city of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The fate of this city was now inextricably linked to that of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The tallest building in the academy was unique. It was a library. The structure of the building looked like pages of ancient scrolls piled up together to form an outer coating. At the tallest point of the library was an open ancient scroll that was 10 zhang tall. At this moment, several people were standing in front of the ancient book. Countless people looked over. They saw several top-notch figures such as the white-haired Yi Futian, the Dragon Master of the Divine Dragons from the Demon Realm, the Divine Elephant Emperor, the Golden Raven Demonic Lord from the Sky Demon Court, the Master of the 10,000 Divine Mountain, Lord Taixian, the Sky River Great Elder and Gudonglu. Every one of them had exceptional status. Below them, on the lower floor of the library, was an even larger group of powerful fighters. They were influential figures from top-notch factions. Jiang Qingzi and Hua Jiangshan from the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven were there. The two of them were once leaders of the Celestial Gate. Several people got a faint understanding when they witnessed the scene. Everyone on the highest level, other than Yi Futian, were all masters of an entire organization. That included Gu Donglu. He was now the only master of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. The people on the next level were the powerhouses of various factions. Seniors, please inscribe your words, Yi Futian said with a smile. The Dragon Master, Divine Elephant Emperor, Golden Raven Demonic Lord, and the Master of the 10,000 Divine Mountain walked toward the cover of the ancient book. Each one of them inscribed a word. They were forceful, overbearing, suppressing, and splendid. The Dragon Master inscribed the word heaven. The word harbored unparalleled weight. The Golden Raven Demonic Lord inscribed the word mandate. Golden divine flames fell and caused the ancient book to release a radiant glow. The Divine Elephant Emperor started the word academy with overbearing arrogance. The master of the 10,000 divine mountain finished the word. He exuded radiance and his free-spirited will. The words released extreme radiance and glory. It caused countless hearts to throb with passion. Heavenly Mandate Academy, please inscribe your word, Lord, Yi Futian said with a smile. Everyone's gaze landed on Lord Taishian. Lord Taishian nodded. He inscribed a word in the book. The word he inscribed seemed to float outside the book. Path. As the word landed on the book, the will of the great path seized the surroundings. The entire Heavenly Mandate Academy seemed to be enveloped in the splendor of the word path. At this moment, countless people looked at the word path. Several people even wanted to sit down and cultivate on the spot. That was true even for powerful fighters at the Renhuang Plain. Yi Futian let out a smile. Back in Taishian Mountain, Lord Taishian etched a word in the sky when he surpassed his bottleneck. Now that he had effortfully invited Lord Taishian here, he could not let him go. Thus, he got the first guest minister of the Heavenly Mandate Academy to inscribe the word path. This way, everything was perfect. The words on the book implied that the Heavenly Mandate Academy was a place for spreading the great path. The group turned around and looked toward the distance. There were countless figures in the Heavenly Mandate City. There were groups from the sky to the ground. They all witnessed this lavish event of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Futian, you can make the announcement. Countless people looked at Yi Futian. Even though he did not take up the role as the first dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, due to his cultivation level, the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy was largely attributed to him. At this moment, it was natural for him to step out and announce the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. All right. Yi Futian nodded with a smile. He did not hold back. He stepped forward and stood on the sky alone. He looked down at the endless crowd. A breeze blew past. His white hair flew, and his robe fluttered in the wind. Countless gazes landed on him. This charismatic figure who had risen within the Heavenly Mandate realm within the span of a few years, and had his reputation spread throughout the 9 supreme imperial realms, had changed the entire Heavenly Mandate realm. Zhuge Mingyue stood within the academy and looked up at the figure in the sky. Yi Futian had not left the Crimson Dragon realm for many years, yet he had made it this far. He sure lived up to his reputation. The greatest genius from the Eastern Baron territory, the Baron State, and the 9 states was like that no matter where he went. Furthermore, he would continue walking forward to create a history that belonged to him. The Swordmaster of Lihen, Yaya, Yu Sheng, Yi Wuchen, Huang Jioga, Wang Chuan, and the rest of the people who had been friends with Yi Futian for many years looked at the figure in the sky. Their hearts were also overcome with emotion. Brother! There was a radiant smile in Long Linger's eyes. Her eyes were teary. She could not help it though she was not sad. Within the group of people from Brahma's pure sky, Hua Jiyu also had her gaze on the figure. There seemed to be a ripple in her eyes, but she quickly suppressed it. Her eyes once again turned cold and without emotion. Today the Heavenly Mandate Academy has been officially created. We'll spread the great path in the Heavenly Mandate realm. Yi Futian announced directly without any superfluous words. Lord Taishian will be the first guest minister of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The Dragon Master, Golden Raven Demonic Lord, Divine Elephant Emperor, Master of the 10,000 Divine Mountain, and the Master of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, make up the first batch of the Heavenly Mandate Academy's first guest ministers. The Sky River Great Elder will become the Dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The hearts of everyone present shook. This arsenal seemed to consist of every top-notch faction in the Heavenly Mandate realm. The masters of the various factions made up the first batch of guest ministers, while the Sky River Great Elder took on the role of Dean. Every one of them was a figure with commanding influence. At this moment, a radiant ray of divine light descended from the skies. One figure floated down from the sky. Countless people looked toward the direction, only to see a terrifying pressure. The pressure had not been released deliberately. It was innate. The Dou clan of the Ziwei realm extends our congratulations, the person in front said with a bright voice. The Dou clan is willing to present 1,000 ancient techniques, 100 Renhong level ritual artifacts, 1,000 saint-level artifacts, 3 relics, 2 elders, 1 guest minister, and 100 disciples. However, the elders, guest ministers, and disciples are willing to accept the tests of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Congratulations on the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The hearts of several people shook. What a generous gesture. The Dou clan of the Ziwei realm was the most influential faction in the Ziwei realm. They had come forward to congratulate Yi Futian and present their gifts. Thank you for your gifts. Yi Futian nodded with a smile. He did not hold back. He intended to accept everything, including the disciples. Another ray of divine light descended from the sky. Another group of figures flew down. The person in front was incredibly beautiful and charismatic. She was a lady with an extraordinary demeanor. She was dressed in a long black robe and looked like a queen. The goddess of the Shao clan from the Central Emperor realm brings along members of the Shao clan to extend our congratulations. A voice rang out. The hearts of many people shook. Was that lady the goddess of the Shao clan from the Central Emperor realm? Your disciple Xiaomuyu pays her respects. Xiaomuyu bowed toward Yi Futian with a smile on her face. A goddess as his disciple. Many people took a deep breath as they looked at Yi Futian. Was Yi Futian already that reputable in the other realms? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1696 The Overbearing Shun Clan. Chapter 1696 The Overbearing Shun Clan. Yi Futian nodded with a smile. He heard Xiaomuyu say, to congratulate the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, I, representing the Shao clan, am giving you 3,000 ancient books, 100 Renhuang-level ritual implements, 1,000 saint-level ritual implements, and 5 of the ancient relics the Shao clan had obtained in the past. As for the matters regarding the guest minister, elder, and the disciples that would come to learn, I'll discuss it with you later. Thank you for the Shao clan's gifts, Muyu. It's been hard on you. Yi Futian nodded and said, the clan of the 7 slayers of the Ziwei realm is here to extend our congratulations. Another voice rang out at this moment. The powerful fighters from the clan of the 7 slayers descended from the sky. The Yuanyang clan of the Central Emperor realm is here to extend our congratulations. The Yuanyang clan had also arrived. Yuan Hong personally led the group here. Yi Futian had hinted at him when the Shao clan was conferring a goddess back then. Now that the Heavenly Mandate Academy had been set up, they were deliberating about whether to join the academy or not. The Shangxiao Divine Palace of the Higher Heavens realm is here to extend our congratulations. Another batch of powerful fighters arrived. Several people had looks of shock. The Higher Heavens realm neighbored the Heavenly Mandate realm. The Shangxiao Divine Palace was a sacred place of cultivation in the Higher Heavens realm and had remarkable status. They had also come today. The Yuhua Divine Palace of the Shadow Realm is here to extend our congratulations. A crisp voice rang out. A group of figures appeared in the air. There were not many people in the group, and their faction seemed much weaker than the rest of the powerhouses. The person in front was unbelievably charismatic. Her aura did not pale in comparison to the goddess of the Shao clan, Xiaomuyu. She might even have the upper hand in terms of appearance. She looked like a goddess from the Yuhua Divine Palace. The goddess of the Yuhua Divine Palace, Changxi, had come to witness the spectacle. She did not expect that many factions to pay Yi Futian their respects. Since that was the case, she also stepped forward to congratulate Yi Futian. Thank you, Goddess Changxi. Yi Futian nodded with a smile. At this moment, several powerful fighters were standing in the air in front of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. It was quite a spectacular scene. Beneath them, the Heavenly Mandate City was engulfed with commotion as they looked up at the figures. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was created today. It was a festive occasion of an unparalleled scale. Factions from all over the 9 realms had come to congratulate Yi Futian. Furthermore, these factions were all powerhouses. How glorious was this scene? Was this the influence that the white-haired teen had? In reality, when Yi Futian brought along the powerful fighters to extinguish the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Violet Heavenly Palace, Countless people in the heavenly mandate realm could not understand why these powerhouses would lend him a helping hand. However, they only realized when they saw the spectacular scene before their eyes that Futian's influence outside the 9 realms had already grown larger than his influence in the heavenly mandate realm. What exactly did Futian do when the god's relic opened last year? Let's enter the academy, Futian said. The people nodded and stepped forward. All of them entered the heavenly mandate academy. Futian looked at the crowd. He had wanted to say something when he suddenly saw a radiant ray of golden divine light coming from the horizon. The light let out an immense roar. Lord Taishian knitted his brows and raised his hand toward the golden divine light. In that instant, a giant palm appeared in the air and pushed directly toward the golden divine light. Boom! A loud noise was heard. The golden divine light scattered. The giant palm was also shattered. However, even so, a ray of golden light still managed to pierce through the air and drill itself into the ground of the heavenly mandate academy. A loud sound accompanied the impact. A hole appeared within the heavenly mandate academy. Who is it? Several people let out an unusual look. Who would dare to mess up this festive occasion? Who would dare to be this insolent? Boom! Rays of golden divine light covered the sky. Countless people looked up at the sky and felt their hearts shake. They saw that a golden throne had appeared in the sky. A figure was sitting on the throne and looking down at everyone. The figure looked like an almighty deity. Many figures appeared behind him. All of the figures were clad in golden armor and looked just like deities. The golden divine nation of the higher heaven realm, many people exclaimed. The animosity between Futian and the golden divine nation was no longer a secret. Powerful fighters from the golden divine nation had also appeared when Futian and his group were attacking the heavenly mandate dynasty. They had wanted to kill Futian. However, they were unable to succeed as the forces Futian had gathered to attack the heavenly mandate dynasty were too strong. Now that the heavenly mandate academy was created, the king of the divine nation had come personally. He was a true powerhouse, a figure which stood at the very top. He still acted in such an arrogant manner, even though many factions had come to congratulate Futian today. He sat alone on the throne in the sky. Other than Lord Taishian, no one who came today could hold their own against the king of the golden divine nation. The king of the golden divine nation sat silently on the throne. He had a piercing gaze as he scanned through the crowd at the heavenly mandate academy. He did not speak, but he had terrifying authority just by sitting there. Presently, everyone in the 9 supreme imperial realms knew about the animosity between Futian and the golden divine nation. 2 of the king's sons had died by Futian's hands. Now that Futian was trying to set up a faction in the heavenly mandate realm, was he trying to retaliate against the golden divine nation in the future? These factions who were joining the heavenly mandate academy today seemed to not fear the king at all. Today the king displayed an attitude just by sitting there. If he did not fear the empty imperial palace, the king would have attacked Futian directly. Futian's gaze swept toward the figure in the air. He had a cold gaze. The king of the golden divine nation was posing a threat by sitting there. Futian had no way to deal with him. Lord Taishian also glanced at the other party. However, the other party did not directly cause trouble. He merely sat in the sky above the heavenly mandate academy. Great Elder, now that you left the Sky River Temple, do you intend on setting up a faction of your own? Another voice spread toward them. A group of spirited fighters appeared in the air. Their divine aura enveloped the air. It was incredibly terrifying. Who are these people? Many people from the heavenly mandate realm asked. Fighters from the Shun clan of the Central Emperor realm, someone said. It caused the hearts of countless people to tremble. They naturally had heard the name of the Shun clan. They were extremely overbearing. They were a superpower that stood at the top of the 9 supreme imperial realms. It looked like, despite Futian's massive influence, he also had a considerable number of enemies. This golden divine nation and the Shun clan were extremely unhappy about the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Of course, this unhappiness was also a form of fear. In the past, not many people would think much about Futian training in Xintian Academy to avoid trouble. They allowed him to train there. However, No one expected him to engage in such terrifying actions after he left Shintian Academy. He had become the overlord of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. The three greatest factions of the Heavenly Mandate Realm had been exterminated because of him. Even though the top-notch factions like the Golden Divine Nation and the Shun clan did not care about that, it did come across as a bad omen. The creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy directly linked many influential factions together. It felt faintly like an alliance. This to them was clearly a bad thing, especially when the Sky River Great Elder was the dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. What would the Shun clan think about that? If the Heavenly Mandate Academy was to become sufficiently strong, would the Sky River Great Elder not make use of the might of the Heavenly Mandate Academy to attack the Shun clan? This posed a direct threat to the Shun clan. Futian had finally been regarded heavily by the Shun clan. The more festive the occasion was today, the worse matters looked to the Shun clan. The saga back then had passed. I came to the Heavenly Mandate Academy today to help my disciple spread his path. The Sky River Great Elder looked up at the powerful fighters of the Shun clan and said, they had come as he expected. The Shun clan had not truly forgiven him. Great Elder, you should return to the Tianhe realm. This place does not suit you, a powerful fighter from the Shun clan said. His tone was calm and collected, but it felt exceptionally forceful. He wanted the Sky River Great Elder to leave. He did not allow him to take up the role of Dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. They could let the Sky River Great Elder off if he stayed silently at the Tianhe realm. However, they would not allow him to set up another faction. Furthermore, the magnificent parade of today's Heavenly Mandate Academy would pose a direct threat to the Shun clan in the future. Futian was difficult to deal with. However, they would never allow the Sky River Great Elder to stay here. Is the Shun clan trying to control his freedom? Lord Taishian had a cold tone. He had not participated in the saga back then, nor could he have helped. Otherwise, he would also be implicated in the crisis. Today the Shun clan was still being that overbearing. Yes, the person standing in front of the Shun clan's group replied. He looked toward Lord Taishian and said, Lord, this is a matter between the Shun clan and the Sky River Great Elder. We know that he is your old friend, and we do respect you. However, you shouldn't interfere in this matter. Lord Taishian knitted his brows slightly. The Shun clan was as overbearing as always. However, the strength of the Shun clan was real. Even he, as he was today, could not fight against them directly. Furthermore, even if he disregarded the Shun clan, the king of the Golden Divine Nation, who was sitting on the throne in the sky, was also itching for a fight. If they were to erupt into conflict with the Shun clan, the Golden Divine Nation would not be polite and would join the battle. The king of the Golden Divine Nation had an extremely piercing gaze. He had expected the Shun clan to come. That was why he personally made a trip here. This was a threat. He wanted to see how confident the alliance of the Heavenly Mandate Academy was. Many top-notch factions had stepped forward to congratulate Futian and would send disciples into the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train. It looked like they were about to form an alliance. However, the king wanted to see how stable the alliance would be. Could they step forward to resist the overbearing Shun clan for this matter? In actuality, several top-notch factions in the crowd had animosity with Futian. For example, the Martial God clan from the Central Emperor Realm, the Celestial Worthy Temple, as well as the Sky-Reaching School. However, they had only come to witness the fanfare. Their animosity with Futian was not deep, and they did not need to step out. With the Shun clan around, all they had to do was witness the spectacle. The atmosphere quickly became suppressed. The vast space felt a little silent. There was no longer the bustle of the past. However, several people were still silently asking about the situation. They had not fully understood the animosity between these factions. A powerful member from the Shao clan took a step forward. He had not spoken a word when a powerful fighter from the Shun clan interrupted him. I'll repeat myself. This is a matter between the Shun clan and the Sky River Great Elder. It has nothing to do with the other factions. It is best that the rest of the people do not interfere. They only targeted the Sky River Great Elder. However, in actuality, they were instilling fear within the Heavenly Mandate Academy. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1697 Courage. Chapter 1697 Courage Overbearing. The members of the Shun clan who have come today were pushy and overbearing. They did not listen to anyone, and wanted to get the Sky River Great Elder back to the Tianhe realm. The Shun clan would never allow the Sky River Great Elder to leave the Tianhe realm. Even more so, they would not allow the Sky River Great Elder to nurture his own faction, especially a faction like the Heavenly Mandate Academy. A formless pressure enveloped the Heavenly Mandate Academy. This academy, that had just been created, was facing pressure from the Golden Divine Nation and the Shun clan. If the Sky River Great Elder was to announce that he would resign from the role of the Dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, then everything that happened today could only be described as ridiculous. The Heavenly Mandate Academy took its name from the Heavenly Mandate Realm. It would become a symbol of the Heavenly Mandate Realm in the future. Powerful fighters from the Heavenly Mandate Realm had stepped forward to observe the ceremony and congratulate Yi Futian. There were even people from other realms who had come to congratulate him. What would it mean if the Dean was forced to resign in the blink of an eye? The reputation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy would collapse immediately. The Shun clan claimed that this was animosity between them and the Sky River Great Elder. However, they had stepped forward at this moment to put the Heavenly Mandate Academy on the spot. The Shun clan clearly did not wish to face a powerful Heavenly Mandate Academy. The Sky River Great Elder swept his gaze toward the members of the Shun clan. Indeed, the Shun clan was as overbearing as they were before he was once an influential figure in the Central Emperor realm. What a joke! After the crisis he encountered in the Tianhe realm, the Shun clan still wanted to establish total control over him and not allow him to have freedom. He was in existence at the peak of Renhuang, yet he did not have any dignity. However, the Sky River Great Elder was extremely calm. It was as though he had grown used to this. He had made it past the war back then. There was nothing he could not tolerate. Compared to the Sky River Great Elder, the rest of the people present had ugly expressions. The powerful fighters of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, as well as the people who had come to celebrate, such as the Xiao clan, Dou clan, and the Yuanyang clan, had been in high spirits just now. However, the overbearing Shun clan had directly shattered their celebratory mood. It was as though the Shun clan had not considered their point of view. The Shun clan did not adopt a pacifist approach in dealing with this matter. Instead, they stepped forward directly with an obvious motive. They wanted to suppress the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Shun clan, you are too much of a bully. A voice rang out at that moment. Lord Taixian stood in the air above the library. He looked toward the powerful fighters of the Shun clan with a cold expression and said, "The Heavenly Mandate Academy has been created today. We would welcome you if you have come to have a drink. Otherwise, please excuse yourselves." The old man's calm voice seemed to harbor a hint of fury. He gave the Shun clan a forceful reply. In the past, Lord Taixian had traveled the realms and discussed the Great Path together with the Sky River Great Elder. He had been powerless during the saga back then, and had always blamed himself. How could he tolerate the situation now that he had broken past the bottleneck, and saw that the Shun clan was bullying the Shun clan, and suppressing the Heavenly Mandate Academy? He had nothing more to ask now that he had cultivated his abilities to this level. This was the endpoint of his cultivation. Thus, he would rather do as his heart wished and feel better about himself. He did not care if he had to face the Shun clan, or the Golden Divine Nation. While he spoke, a formless pressure of the Great Path enveloped an infinite space. The clouds in the sky were dyed golden. Many people looked up to see the radiant golden clouds. The entire world seemed to have been enveloped by authoritative pressure. Anyone who was below the level of Renhuang found it difficult to breathe. Even though the war had not broken out, the pressuring aura made them feel extremely uncomfortable. The Lord ultimately stepped forward and made his attitude known. At this moment, Yi Futian felt a little guilty. In actuality, he had pulled Lord Taixian over to the Heavenly Mandate Academy to make use of his strength. The Heavenly Mandate Academy required a figure of his level to oversee the place. Only then would the academy be stable. Otherwise, they would still lack a force that stood at the very top, even if all of the factions in the Heavenly Mandate realm came together. That was why he pulled the Sky River Great Elder over to be the dean, and the Lord to be a guest minister. Before he came, his grandmaster, the Sky River Great Elder, had gone directly to the Taishan Mountain. The Great Elder then came together with the Lord. Yi Futian knew that the two elders understood his plans. They knew of Yi Futian's intentions, yet they were still willing to help him. The powerful fighters of the Shun clan were rather surprised. Lord Taishan had taken the stage and gave a forceful reply. The king of the Golden Divine Nation remained seated on his golden throne. He was authoritative and overbearing. It was as if all of this did not concern him, and that he had just come to witness the spectacle. Lord, are you intending to interfere with the matter between the Shun clan and the Sky River Great Elder? The powerful fighter leading the Shun clan's group said coldly. It is the Shun clan that is forcefully interfering with the creation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Furthermore, what right does the Shun clan have to stop the Sky River Great Elder from being the dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Lord Taishan continued. I'll repeat myself. You can come in to have a drink if you want, but please excuse yourself if you have any other matters. The Shun clan was extremely powerful. They could be said to be one of the most powerful factions in the 9 supreme imperial realms. However, unless a figure who stood at the very top came, what could they do against Lord Taishan? He wanted to see if the Shun clan would attack. The powerful fighter from the Shun clan laughed when they heard Lord Taishuan's words. He lived up to his reputation as an existence who had broken through the limits of cultivation. He was forceful indeed. Though did he want to fight against the Shun clan? The powerful fighter leading the Shun clan turned around and swept his gaze across the fighters on the ground. He said with a bright voice, how many people in the Tianhe realm lost their lives because of the incident involving the Sky River Great Elder back then? 3,000 disciples. They were almost exterminated. Why does the Heavenly Mandate Academy want to continue implicating the people cultivating in the Heavenly Mandate realm? There was an immense threat in his voice. He continued, if the Sky River Great Elder were to become the dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, then the disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Academy would be regarded as members of the Sky River Great Elder's faction. Thus, I wanted to advise all of you from the Heavenly Mandate realm to be cautious. The word cautious spread throughout the surroundings and impacted the ears of everyone who listened. The unbridled threat spread throughout the Heavenly Mandate city. It caused the countless fighters in the city to become silent instantly. Nearly 3,000 of the Sky River Great Elder's disciples had been slaughtered by the Shun clan back then. They were not hiding anything. If the Sky River Great Elder were going to become the dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, then the Shun clan would make it such that no one would dare to cultivate in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The king of the Golden Divine Nation, who was sitting on the throne, was also an immense threat. It was as though the heads of everyone present was doused with cold water. Countless people who had wanted to enroll in the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train seemed to have become more alert. I am also curious as to how many disciples the Heavenly Mandate Academy can attract. The king of the Golden Divine Nation also said. The Shun clan had first suppressed the Sky River Great Elder. Now, they were interfering with the disciples. Their methods were vicious and forceful. As a place of spreading the Great Path, it would be humiliating if no one dared to enroll into the academy to train. Since the Sky River Great Elder is going to be your dean, then you guys can continue, the powerful fighter of the Shun clan said coldly. He continued standing in the air high above the academy and looked down at everything under him. It was as though he was enjoying the power he wielded. Yi Futian looked toward the powerful fighter from the Shun clan and the king of the Golden Divine Nation. He then looked at the vast crowd under him. He said loudly without hesitation, the Heavenly Mandate Academy will accept disciples from all over the world. They have to go through a test. Those who pass the test can train in the outer sect of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The core disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Academy shall be chosen from the outer sect disciples. The selection period for the first batch of outer sect disciples will continue for 3 months. It starts immediately. Those who wish to enter the academy to train can directly enter the Heavenly Mandate Academy and take the test. Futian surveyed the crowd after he spoke. There were countless figures in the vast Heavenly Mandate city, but none of them walked out. Several people whispered to one another. The atmosphere was dull. One could imagine just how bustling the Heavenly Mandate Academy would be if the Shin clan and the Golden Divine Nation was not here. Powerful fighters would have stepped into the Heavenly Mandate Academy, one after the other, to become the first batch of the Academy's disciples. However, under the threat of the two powerhouses, no one dared to act recklessly. The king of the Golden Divine Nation scanned the area under him. There was a faint look of mockery in his golden eyes. The Heavenly Mandate Academy had created quite the spectacle. They would be reduced to a joke if things ended like this. The Heavenly Mandate realm would remember this ridiculous day. The powerful fighter of the Shin clan did not look down. Instead, he shot his gaze in the direction of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. His gaze was ice cold. Did the Sky River Great Elder think that he would be free of the Shin clan if he did this? Or did he plan to use the strength of the Heavenly Mandate Academy to resist the Shin clan in the future? There was a group of people in an unassuming place amidst the endless crowd. A lady stepped forward. "Qianyue," someone shouted. Yun Qianyue turned to look at the members of her family. "I want to go," Yun Qianyue shouted. Her life had been given to her by Futian. She knew that Futian had admitted that she was his disciple only to save her. But in her heart, she forever regarded Futian as her teacher, no matter if her teacher remembered her existence or not. The powerful fighters of the Yun clan were rather hesitant. Those were two powerful factions. The king of the Golden Divine Nation was sitting on his throne. There were also powerful fighters from the Shin clan. No one dared to step out, because they were afraid of being the first one. The first person who stepped out would definitely offend the two superpowers. Who knew what would happen to them? Thus, no one dared to be the first to step out. Qianyue, the current clan master of the Yun clan, looked toward Yun Qianyue and said, "Go." If not for Futian back then, his lineage would have been destroyed. He had to repay the kindness. Yu Qianyue nodded with a smile. She then stepped forward and walked to the front. She walked past many figures and traversed through the crowd. Many people looked at her with a weird expression. What was she trying to do? Yun Qianyue's cultivation level was not high, and she was a lady. Did she want to be the first person to step forward? Yun Qianyue walked forward a step at a time, and arrived at the perimeter of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. At this moment, countless gazes fell onto Yun Qianyue. Even the gazes of the Golden Divine Nation and the powerful fighters of the Shin clan landed on her. She was trembling slightly. Even though those were gazes, she felt a suffocating pressure. No one could understand what she was feeling right now. However, she continued to walk forward with her head held high. She did not retreat, even though her body was trembling slightly. She walked into the Heavenly Mandate Academy and said, "I wish to train in the Heavenly Mandate Academy and take the test." Qianyue. Futian had a look of shock when he saw her. This was the lady he had first met when he entered the Heavenly Mandate Academy. He had almost forgotten about her existence. He did not expect her to step out at this moment. Yun Qianyue let out a radiant smile when she met Futian's gaze. Her teacher might have forgotten about her, but she would never forget him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1698 Strength of the Shin Clan? Chapter 1698 Strength of the Shin Clan? In the Heavenly Mandate Academy, Yun Qianyue had a radiant smile as she looked up at Futian. She did not know what to call him. Would she embarrass Futian if she called him his teacher? "Qianyue," Futian shouted with a smile. "Come to my side." Yun Qianyue nodded seriously. She moved to the area behind Futian. Who else is willing to attend the Heavenly Mandate Academy's test? Futian continued to ask as he looked at the crowd. he saw two other figures step out. Yi Futian let out a shocked expression when he saw the two figures. They were both familiar faces. The prince of the Crimson Dragon realm, Qi Shang, and his wife Yi Shifei. The two of them walked forward. People from the cast crowd recognized them. Amongst the people who recognized them was an exceptional teen with the light of the divine fire in his eyes. He came from the Crimson Dragon realm. It was Luo Yang. He had come to the Heavenly Mandate realm along with Yi Futian back then. He was a little surprised that Qi Shang and Yi Shifei would step out at this time. The two of them walked into the Heavenly Mandate Academy and smiled at Yi Futian. "We'll accept the test of the Heavenly Mandate Academy." Yi Futian nodded toward them and smiled. "All right." The king of the Golden Divine Nation, Guide Song, and the powerful fighters of the Shen clan looked at the people. They did not expect there to be such courageous people at this time. They wanted to see how many people would display such courage and dare to enter the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train. "I am willing to join the Heavenly Mandate realm." Another person walked out. He had an exceptional demeanor, and his cultivation level was at the peak of the Saint Plane. He was dressed in a long-sleeved shirt and looked free-spirited and unrestrained. Chuyu. The people in the Heavenly Mandate City let out a look of shock. Chuyu was reputable within the Heavenly Mandate City and had exceptional potential in terms of cultivation. Even the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty wanted to pull him over to their side. Back then, the prince of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, Yi Tianyu, had personally tried to sway Chuyu and sparred with him. He praised Chuyu highly and invited him to train together with him. However, Chuyu had not accepted his invitation. He said that he did not want to join the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty for the moment. Instead, he wanted to focus on proving his path and entering the Renhong Plain. Yi Tianyu did not force him. He said that he would look for Chuyu after he reached the Renhuang Plain. Many people thought that Chuyu would become a member of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and support Yi Tianyu after he stepped into the Renhong Plain. However, the dynasty had been destroyed before Chuyu reached the Renhuang Plain. "I am Chuyu from Heavenly Mandate City. If the Heavenly Mandate Academy does not mind, I am willing to join the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train," Chuyu said as he looked at Yi Futian. He was rather famous in Heavenly Mandate City. If Yi Futian wanted to investigate him after the matter, he would easily be able to find out that he had interacted with the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, and even Yi Tianyu. Yi Futian knew what the other party meant when he heard that he was Chuyu from Heavenly Mandate City. He knew that the other party was worried that the Heavenly Mandate Academy would exclude people who have had contact with the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. "The Heavenly Mandate Academy does not care about your background," Yi Futian said. "Welcome." Chuyu nodded and walked forward into the academy. Back then, he had not joined the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, as it had not been a faction purely focused on cultivation and spreading the Great Path. Even though Yi Tianyu thought of him highly, he would have to listen to Yi Tianyu's orders if he entered the dynasty. He would not have entered the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, even if he entered the Renhuang Plain. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was a good fit for him. As for the threat of the Golden Divine Nation and the Shen clan, he would have to face it sooner or later, unless he decided never to join the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Since his fate was tied to that of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, and that he had already come to a decision, why not join the academy earlier? This way, with his talent and potential, he might be able to come into contact with the top-notch figures of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Opportunities were always presented alongside crises. After Chuyu walked out, several cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate City walked out one after the other and moved toward the Heavenly Mandate Academy. With someone in the lead, the rest of the people felt more courageous. It was most difficult for the people who were the earliest to step out. Many figures wavered in the direction of the Heavenly Mandate City as they walked toward the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Of course, the combined cultivation level of the people gathered around the Heavenly Mandate City was pathetically low. The situation would not have happened this way if the Golden Divine Nation and the Shen clan was not here. Many of the cultivators had no choice but to consider the future of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. It was an extreme risk. It would be bad if a war were to break out, They hoped that the academy that had just been set up in the Heavenly Mandate realm would not topple that quickly. This had significance across the generations. If the academy were to crumble, the Heavenly Mandate realm would be forced into a slump and be tossed behind by the top-notch factions of the other realms. Time passed. The vast space was still extremely quiet. Yi Futian, Lord Taixian, and the rest of the powerful fighters looked on at the scene quietly. The Golden Divine Nation and the Shun clan did the same. Finally, the number of people entering the Heavenly Mandate Academy got fewer and fewer before the stream of people stopped. Yi Futian counted the number of people. A little more than 300 people had entered the Heavenly Mandate Academy and were willing to take the test. He also noticed that most of the people were at the Saint Plane. They all had exceptional demeanor. People who had the courage to step out during such a time proved several things. Most of the people in this group would have an exceptional talent for cultivation. We'll stop here today, Yi Futian announced. The first batch of core disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Academy will have 1,000 people. The people who entered the Heavenly Mandate Academy today will be exempt from the test and will immediately become a core disciple of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. What do you think about that, Lord and Teacher? Sure. Lord Taixian nodded. He did not mind the arrangement. This caused many people to let out a look of shock. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was set up jointly by many influential factions. Undoubtedly, the factions from the Heavenly Mandate realm and the factions who had come here to congratulate Yi Futian would send many people into the Heavenly Mandate Academy to train and occupy the spots for core disciples. That, coupled with the 300-odd people who had entered the Heavenly Mandate Academy today, meant that there might not be much of the 1,000 disciple quota left. This meant that those who wished to enter the Heavenly Mandate Academy could only fight for an extremely limited spot. The rest of the people would have to become outer sect disciples. Indeed, the first batch of people who entered the academy would receive special attention. They would be heavily nurtured. Of course, that was logical. Yi Futian knew that if the Heavenly Mandate Academy could exist stably within the Heavenly Mandate realm, it would become a top-notch academy within the 3,000 realms of the Great Path in the future. He did not have to worry about the issue of the core disciples. Of the people that would be heavily nurtured by the Heavenly Mandate Academy, talent was but one aspect. They also had to have exceptional character. Only then could the academy flourish through the generations. The Heavenly Mandate Academy has been officially created. We'll be accepting disciples for the next 3 months. Today's session will end now. Please do as you see fit, Yi Futian said as he looked at the Golden Divine Nation and the Shun clan. He sent them off. That means to say that the Heavenly Mandate Academy intends to stubbornly go about their matters? The powerful fighter from the Shun clan asked. He naturally referred to the matter of the Sky River Great Elder being the dean of the academy. None of your business, Lord Taixian replied directly. Now that he had trained himself to the level he was at, he had a calm state of mind. However, he felt a little angry at this moment. The Shun clan was meddling in too many things. Lord, you sure have a good amount of free time to be playing along with these cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate realm. It is just that you have no strength, just relying on the alliance of the Heavenly Mandate realm. You wish to create a fabled land for spreading the Great Path just with this? The powerful fighter from the Shun clan said with a cold laugh. In the 9 realms, only Shintian Academy and the Shangxiao Divine Palace could stand throughout the generations. How long can the Heavenly Mandate Academy last? Several people let out a weird expression. That was a direct threat to the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The Shun clan would never allow the Heavenly Mandate Academy to prosper. The existence of the Sky River Great Elder and Yi Futian was a threat to the Shun clan. What strength? Yi Futian asked. Everything in this universe starts from zero, as do any faction. Similarly, no matter how strong a faction is, there would come a day when it collapses. The Heavenly Mandate dynasty had stood in the Heavenly Mandate realm for countless years. But today, it had been buried under the foot of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Conceited arrogance. The powerful fighter of the Shun clan looked at Yi Futian. Was he threatening the Shun clan? What big words! You are right. However, in the countless years that the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had existed, how many factions in the Heavenly Mandate realm rose and collapsed? What can a newly created academy produce to compare itself with a top-notch faction that stands at the top of the 9 realms? The powerful fighter of the Shen clan replied calmly, "At least in my generation, the Heavenly Mandate Academy will become stronger than the Shen clan." Yi Futian replied forcefully, "You sure do not mince your words." Pressure radiated from the body of the powerful fighter from the Shen clan. It enveloped the surroundings. He was going to become stronger than the Shen clan in his generation? The Heavenly Mandate Academy had produced 3 wielders of the perfect divine wheel in this generation. Was he disregarding the Shen clan because of that? While it is true that only Shen Hao had forged a perfect divine wheel in the Shen clan in this generation, but overall, the Shen clan had countless powerful fighters. How could the Heavenly Mandate Academy compare to the Shen clan? Mince my words. Yi Futian looked at the other party. The powerful fighter of the Shen clan thought too highly of himself. Do you wish to have a go? He had just said that when the entire space became momentarily silent. Yi Futian was asking the Shen clan if they wanted to have a go at it. Was he challenging Shen Hao from the Shen clan? Shen Hao stood within the Shen clan's group. Divine light radiated from his body as he stepped forward. However, the person at the front of the Shen clan's group stopped him and said, "Shen Ling, you go." "All right," a voice replied. At that moment, a youth with exceptional flair stepped forward. He was a lower-level Renhuang and had a 3rd-tier divine wheel. He had exceptional abilities. He knew that the other party had 3 wielders of the perfect divine wheel, and thus would not be so careless as to send a person with a 1st-tier or 2nd-tier divine will into battle. Thus, he chose Shen Ling. Shen Ling's battle capabilities were extremely strong. He nearly forged a perfect divine wheel in the past. Shen Ling glanced toward Yi Futian. A terrifying divine light shot out from his eyes. "Your opponent is not me." A radiant ray of golden divine light shot out from Yi Futian's eyes when he saw that Shen Ling was staring at him. He said, "Yu Sheng." The opponent had an exceptional demeanor and must be extremely powerful. His 3rd senior, Gu Donglu, was the master of the Celestial Gate, and it was not convenient for him to fight. The Swordmaster of Lihan would find it difficult to achieve victory. Thus, Yu Sheng was the natural candidate. Boom! A figure stepped forward from within the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The earth shook when he stepped forward. Everyone in the vast surroundings felt the dull thud. Yu Sheng's muscular figure stood in front of Shen Ling. In the academy, Yi Futian said, "Even though the Shen clan sent out a wielder of a 3rd-tier divine wheel, it's enough that the Heavenly Mandate Academy sent out a disciple with a 1st-tier divine wheel. Today, I hope to witness the strength of the Shen clan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1699 Origins. Chapter 1699 Origins. Yu Sheng stood before Shen Ling. They stood some distance apart. The might of the Renhuang Plain enveloped this space. Shen Ling's eyes changed, becoming a pair of divine eyes. They directly penetrated Yu Sheng's eyes. However, he only saw a pair of frightening demonic eyes looking back at him. It was as though a demon was emerging from Yu Sheng's eyes. Bang! Yu Sheng took a step forward. A loud thud could be heard. In an instant, the space where Yu Sheng stood seemed to sink downwards. Behind him, a towering figure appeared. It was hundreds of zhang tall, as though it was a peerless demon. In the instant that the 100 zhang tall demon appeared, illusions of demons seemed to appear everywhere. Tens of thousands of demons immediately covered the entire space. Shen Ling raised his head and looked around him. The domineering illusions of demons immediately sealed off this part of the sky. The vast might of the demons was everywhere, pressing down from the heavens above. The flawless level. The cultivators of the top forces of the 9 realms stared at Yu Sheng. After Yi Futian, the Swordmaster of Lihan, as well as Gu Donglu, was another flawless level presence at the Renhuang Plain. He was a demonic emperor. Rumor has it that Yu Sheng was previously one of the 10 cultivators who entered the heavenly palace of God's relic. He had also obtained a divine item. In that case, him forging a flawless divine will was not too astonishing. It was still somewhat acceptable. The cultivators of Shun clan had ugly expressions. This was the fourth possessor of a flawless divine wheel in Yi Futian's group. No wonder his tone was so arrogant. At this moment, dazzling divine light burst forth from Shun Ling's body. It was as though his body was on fire. His blood vessels churned and bellowed. The brilliant light of Ren Huang pierced through the demonic aura. Although Yu Sheng was a possessor of a flawless divine wheel, his plane was still lower than that of Shunling Shin clan, had naturally considered that his opponent would be a flawless divine will possessor before sending him out to battle. Divine light swept out and cut through the space like sharp golden swords. Rumble. However, at this moment, Yu Sheng took another step forward and stepped into the sky. At that moment, a truly peerless demon seemed to appear in the world. It stomped down with one foot. Under such immense pressure, Shunling's body actually sank downwards. This was the suppression of the Great Path. Bang! Shunling's aura was still bursting forth when Yu Sheng took another step forward. Even the divine wheel in Shunling's body trembled. His body was once again pressed down. It was as though this part of the world was a space controlled by the demon. The expression of the cultivators of Shun clan shifted. They certainly could tell that Shun Ling was being suppressed. It was not that he did not want to retaliate. He did not dare, or might not have the ability to retaliate. Such a dominant demonic cultivator. Countless cultivators in Heavenly Mandate City looked towards Yu Sheng's silhouette. His figure had not grown larger, but in the eyes of countless people, he had already merged together with the illusions of demons, and had become tall and stalwart. It was as though he was a demon incarnate. Yu Sheng took another step forward. This time, he traversed the space in one bound, directly stomping on Shunling's body. The illusions of demons around him seemed to all move at the same time. Shunling raised his head, and the sky above him was covered by these illusions of demons. This one stomp contained an unparalleled great path of suppression that immediately penetrated his figure. Rumble. This step descended from the heavens and forcefully stomped down on Shunling. With a huge rumble, Shunling's figure was stomped down into the ground. Cracks appeared, and a huge footprint formed on the ground. What level of power is this? Many thought. The hearts of the crowd were beating furiously. The cracks in the ground extended into the distance and appeared below their feet. Many people lowered their heads and then looked up again at the demonic emperor in midair. He stood there like an eternal demon and was extremely overbearing. A flash of blinding light shone. Shunling appeared from under the ground. He looked extremely pathetic. Although his attack had blocked most of Yu Sheng's power and caused the power to pass through him and dissipate into the ground, he had still lost terribly. This was the first time he had lost so miserably in his life. It was humiliating. The cultivators of Shun clan stared at Yu Sheng. This person's ability was not limited to just having forged a flawless divine wheel. Aside from that, his own demonic power was extremely frightening. It would most likely be difficult for anyone at the lower-level Renhuang plane to phase him. Shun clan's understanding of cultivation and flawless divine wheels definitely surpassed that of most people. Yi Futian's group made Shun clan feel very uncomfortable. Shun clan has rich and strong foundations. Why do you send such weak cultivators out to fight? We invite Shun clan to not hide and let the world see the powerful foundations of Shun clan. Yi Futian, who was in the Heavenly Mandate Academy, cried out loudly behind Yu Sheng, who was standing in midair. He appeared to be holding Shun clan in high esteem, but it was in mockery. This was the strong foundation of the Shun clan? It could not even withstand a single blow. It was stomped on by Yu Sheng with his foot. Shen Hao's figure stepped forward. He wanted to step out, but the cultivators of Shun clan still prevented him from doing so. Shen Hao was the symbol of this generation of Shun clan. There was no meaning even if he defeated this opponent. If Shun clan had to send Shen Hao out to do battle, just because the Heavenly Mandate Academy sent out one of its students, they would rather not battle. We hope that you will not regret your decision today, a cultivator from Shun clan said to Yi Futian. They then turned and walked off. However, they did not leave the place. instead heading in the direction of Heavenly Mandate City. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was recruiting disciples. They would remain here and watch. At the same time, they would send cultivators back to Shen Clan to report on the situation. The Heavenly Mandate Academy had 4 flawless Divine Will cultivators. Adding on to the relationship between their Shen Clan and Sky River Great Elder and Yi Futian, the Heavenly Mandate Academy had to be restricted. Shen Clan could not let the Heavenly Mandate Academy grow stronger and become a threat to them in the future. The ruler of Golden Divine Nation, Gai Tsang, swept a glance at Yi Futian. He then got up from his golden throne and led the cultivators of Golden Divine Nation as he turned and left. He left immediately by ripping apart the very fabric of space. Now, Yi Futian's group had offended the Shen Clan again. Golden Divine Nation, on the other hand, had nothing to worry about at the moment. They left. The crowd felt uneasy when they saw the 2 major forces leaving. Today, they witnessed the grand occasion of the establishment of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. At the same time, they also saw 2 top forces come over to disturb the Heavenly Mandate Academy. This storm would most likely not settle anytime soon, and could even continue for a very long time. It would most likely be difficult for Heavenly Mandate Academy to solidify their standing in the Heavenly Mandate realm. They would need to first get past Shen Clan. The crowd was wondering, what would happen if Shen Clan actually sent troops to the Heavenly Mandate realm? Although the members of the Heavenly Mandate realm did not know how powerful Shen Clan was, they had heard that they were ranked among the top 3 forces of the Central Emperor realm. Although Shen Clan was at a disadvantage this time, there were only a few cultivators of Shen Clan here. This was merely a warning for Heavenly Mandate Academy. In the next 3 months, how many cultivators would join the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Yu Xing turned and returned to the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Yi Futian looked at the crowd and said, "We will stop here for today." As he said this, he also turned and came before the group of cultivators before him and said, "Arrange the newly joined disciples of the Academy so that they can settle in." Understood. Someone came forward to make the arrangements. "Step down," Lord Taixian said. Immediately, a group of people descended from the sky and joined the group of cultivators. "For now, I will stay in the Heavenly Mandate Academy," Lord Taixian declared. He had already revealed his stance on the matter. Facing Shen Clan was still going to be tough. He naturally would not just leave right now. "Many thanks, Lord Taixian." Yi Futian nodded. If the situation was the same as it was back then in the God's Relic, Shen Clan might have made their move. However, right now, Shen Clan does not dare to openly attack Heavenly Mandate Academy. Lord Taixian then continued, "If Shen Clan wants to declare war against the Heavenly Mandate Academy with so many forces backing it, they will need to bear the consequences. This time, it is different from back in the Tianhe realm. Shen Clan will not commit to such an endeavor. If I am unable to assume the position of college chief of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, why don't you take it?" Sky River Great Elder suggested as he looked at Lord Taixian. In reality, Lord Taixian was more suitable than he was to assume the position of college chief. It was just that it was not appropriate for Yi Futian to be the one to bring it up. After all, Yi Futian and Lord Taixian were not related in any meaningful way, and Lord Taixian was a member of the Higher Heavens realm who cultivated on Taixian Mountain. He could help out as a guest, but Yi Futian had no standing to ask him to assume the position of college chief. "There is no need to do so. If Shen Clan refuses to give up, I will accompany you and permanently reside in the academy." Lord Taixian had clearly been angered. His expression was stern. Today, the Shen Clan was indeed being overbearing. An academy established by the power of the entire Heavenly Mandate realm is no pushover, Dragon Master said in a cold tone. Today, both Golden Divine Nation and Shen Clan had completely looked down on the Heavenly Mandate realm. "Master, I will also train in the Heavenly Mandate Academy for the time being," Xiaomuyu spoke up. Yi Futian looked at her. He naturally knew that Xiaomuyu was doing so for the Heavenly Mandate Academy. That way, the cultivators of Xiao Clan would also be here. Shen Clan would be even more reluctant to act hastily. "We will also report back to the clan," If Shin clan wants to act, they will need to consider it carefully, a cultivator from Xiao clan said. The Heavenly Mandate Academy already had 4 possessors of flawless divine wheels. Their potential was too frightening. No wonder even Shin clan could not sit still. Thank you, seniors, for your assistance. Yi Futian nodded his head slightly. Right now, Heavenly Mandate City was in an uproar. Almost everyone was discussing the events of the day. Information regarding the grudge between Shin clan and Sky River Great Elder also gradually went around, as well as info on Sky River Great Elder and Yi Futian's relationship. After understanding all of this, the crowd began to comprehend Shin clan's motives. They were afraid of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Right now, in an inn in Heavenly Mandate City, many people were discussing this. A silhouette was sitting quietly in the corner, listening in on the discussions of the crowd. At that moment, a group of figures came up to the second floor of the inn. Immediately, all eyes turned towards them. The inn instantly fell incredibly silent. The group that had arrived were members of Shin clan. They walked towards a corner and sat down. One of their members said, "Did anyone see which lineage that demonic cultivator was from?" The crowd shook their heads and said, "There are very few incredible demonic cultivators in the world. Rumor has it that he had previously trained in dragons' gods. Order some men to investigate their origins. There is certainly more information about them in the Heavenly Mandate realm." The cultivator of Shin clan continued saying. The might of Yi Futian, Yi Sheng, and their group had drawn the attention of the Shin clan. They were beginning to investigate the origins of Yi Futian. The others nodded their heads. Then the group fell silent. They remained very quiet, causing the entire inn to feel somewhat depressing. However, at that moment, a silhouette stood next to the cultivators of the Shin clan. The members of the Shin clan frowned. They looked towards the youth and asked, "What business do you have with us? I believe I know some things about the origins of Yi Futian's group. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.